حاضر فهمت.
3, 2, 1, let's go. Welcome everybody to the Been There segment of the George Habib channel, the segment where we talk about people's everyday experiences in life, love, school, work, and mental health. Our guest today is Reem.
Hi.
Okay, perfect. And the topic of today is a bit of a serious one, but one that I feel is important: dealing with bullying in school. And before we get into this topic, Reem, I would like to ask, what is your background?
Let's see. I'm an Egyptian woman. I was born and raised in Dubai. And I come from a very open-minded yet closed-minded family, but it's pretty cool, it's pretty chill. But عادي, I've been to two schools. I've graduated from AUD, and now I'm a social media manager / specialist.
Perfect. Did you say AUD or AUB?
AUD.
Because if it was AUB, I would like to say I'm sorry. But since it's AUD, I would like to also say I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. They both. It's less traumatizing than the experience I've been through.
And social media manager, I tried that, and I respect you for doing something that basically destroys your soul with all the tediousness of posting.
I actually have a sticker on my laptop. Very fun fact that says social, those cigarette disclaimers. I have one on my laptop that says social media could cause serious mental health.
Mental health damage.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Dude, never again. I respect you guys so much, but I don't know how you do it. Clients are horrible. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. Reem, so the definition of bullying is, and let me pull it up, the use of force, coercion, hurtful teasing, or threat to abuse, aggressively dominate, or intimidate. Unfortunately, do you feel this is an experience you've had pretty early on in your life?
Yes.
And can I ask, when did it start?
I think it started around a very early stage. It started when I was in probably grade 1, which is a very young age to start getting bullied. And I'd have to say, thankfully, it was never physical, but it was always verbal. It was always threatening. It was always
Emotional?
do this, or something is going to happen, or it would be like negative comments.
So no one ever like hit you?
No. It never reached to a point where it was physical, except maybe once or twice, but that was like at an older stage.
And how long did it go for? Until when?
I think it was actually up until I graduated high school. So
Right.
I lived 12 years of bullying.
It's too long.
I know.
And where did it start, Reem?
It started in a high school, and I think the way it started was the school that I went to. My mom was actually the head administrator, and I think people found it weird that I was getting special treatment because all of the teachers that I had were also friends with my mom, so they gave me special treatment, like they could see me after school at my house, or I could see them after school at their house.
Right. And since the school is public, we can say I'm guessing it's Shoy Fat.
Yeah.
And I want to point this out because there are some Shoy Fatties that are probably going to watch this. So I feel it's important to them too. So when you say they found out that your mom was working for the school, do you feel that, I don't know how to say this, do you feel that like highlighted you as an other?
It definitely put titles on me. It definitely put teacher's pet or like the school's daughter or something like that, It didn't really put me anywhere negative initially, but then as people started to probably hate me and hate me more, it became titles increased to worse and worse. Like I
Yeah.
initially started as teacher's pet, but at the end of it all, I would find documents on the internet.
So it was even so you didn't mention this before. It even got into cyberbullying.
It wasn't really cyberbullying. Like back then, there was this trend where people used to create domains and websites that they decorated as their own. It was like kind of like
Was this Pixo?
this is Pixel,
Oh my god, I remember that.
and then I would go on to like the domains of like the schoolmates that I had, and I would find my name like written in negative statements.
The thing is, Reem, and for clarity to the viewers, I was also part of Reem's class at this time. I was also a classmate, and unfortunately, I don't know if you remember this clearly. I think I was also part of the bullying. I don't believe I was, I don't believe I was the main, but unfortunately, and I have to admit this, no, I did take part in it. So for me, when you said teacher's pet was what initially like pointed you out or alienated you from others, for me, I never knew that part. As a dumb kid, I think other dumb kids told me, or they treated you as if you were a weird kid. And I think just because, and I think out of peer pressure, I also became part of that negative bullshit. I was also a shitty person involved in that.
Here's the fun part of it all. I actually don't remember you doing anything bad to me from how little you actually did. So whatever you think you did, which you feel sorry for, there was so much bigger damage caused by other people that whatever you did kind of just slipped away. you know?
I
So
I know, but regardless, I think you know this already because we talked about it. Uh After you kind of left school or stuff, for years afterward, I felt bad for two things. The stuff I did, which my memory is pretty hazy, but I don't know, when kids would name call, I'd join it, but like not know why I did it. And then the other thing I felt horrible for was not doing anything about it. Because even as a kid, I remember feeling bad that it was happening to you.
that's so sweet. And
I think it's pretty bad.
I I know, I think it's sweet that you cared at some point, like that's a positive out of it. Like at least at some point you empathized. I feel like so many other people that were part of the damage haven't even empathized even now that we're in our late 20s.
Yeah. It's a strange thing because it's like kids are pretty unempathetic, you know? They're
Yeah,
not
that's very
necessarily evil, but their actions can come off as evil if an adult did it. With a kid,
yeah.
I think it's like they they don't know why they do things. Like for me, for example, like I said, Reem, I don't know why I was a part of that. I don't know why the others did it. It was just something that happened, and then peer pressure and all that. And even when I look back on it before we got in touch again, I still don't know why that happened. Like you
Peer
said, you
pressure was actually one of the main reasons I gave into bullying because I felt like if I were to stand up for myself, worse things would happen.
what do you mean by you gave into it?
Like I surrendered to it. I didn't try to get up and like get my rights back. I didn't try to get up and say, hey, whatever you're doing isn't good to me, or like I just fell into it. I
So
didn't
you didn't stand up for yourself.
exactly. Because of peer pressure, I felt like my reputation's already bad as it is. I can't afford it getting worse.
It's but like, doesn't that even make it worse that you were led to believe that in a way it was your fault? Like, doesn't that make it
For the
worse?
longest time, I think until I graduated high school and finally like got exposed to university life, that I actually sat down and was like, I wonder what I ever did to these people
Hmm.
for them to backfire so hard on me. Like I always, whenever I speak about this to other people, I always say, and no, I was always the type of person that just wanted to be friends with everyone. I walked in school hoping to like have that teen movie type of scenario where I walk into a group of friends and we all hug each other and like we just sit around with each other making jokes. Like that was the type of person I wanted to be. I just wanted to be friends. I didn't
What
really want to hurt anyone.
what teen movie is this? I
I mean,
don't like the majority of teen movies is what, like, bullying, 30-year-old actors playing 14-year-old characters who are
are you
having
talking
sex.
again?
Huh?
Are you talking about 17 again?
Dude, all no, 17 again was such a mind twist. No, no, no. Like, just there's many other movies, like even the recent one, Euphoria, where like 25-year-olds are playing like 15-year-olds, and 15-year-olds are like, and these characters are like, well, I haven't seen Euphoria, so I'm probably getting it wrong. Dealing drugs and having sex and stabbing each other. Okay, I'm not sure about the stabbing each other part. I think the only
No, it
thing
kind of exists.
I guess. I think the only thing you were describing was like an Archie comic. That was
Yeah,
the
no,
only
something.
thing where I've seen teenagehood positively.
So I watched the young teenage stuff. Like I was watching Disney Channel and I was watching that situation, you know, like where I see Hannah Montana walking into her friends Lily and whatever his name was, and they were good friends, you know,
Oliver.
like that was the kind of Oliver.
I
So I
hated
was
him.
walking. I kind of wanted that kind of situation, but like again, it just never happened. Like I craved friendship so bad, and I had, you know, Tiff, I had so much like baby crushes on boys back then, which was kind of funny because those boys were the boys who were bullying me.
Yeah. Was it just the boys? Because I want to get to the second, no, the third question. Who were the types of people who bullied you? Not names, but like their profiles. Was there a
Um,
type?
can I give them fake names? Is that okay?
Not if the names rhyme.
No, obviously not. Like you'd have a no a person A, for instance, was this girl who was like super athletic and like, you know, had like a fierce personality and just didn't want anyone to control the situation. You had spoiled rich kids who basically like poked at me because I don't know, like I was just smiling that day and they didn't feel like smiling, so they kind of made me feel bad, so they would get their home issues on me.
Hmm.
I've had guys who had the snottiest personalities where they literally didn't give a shit if I was happy or sad. I've had I've had this weird type, and it reoccurs in different people as I progress, where it was a guy who pretended to like me in secret but bullied me in public.
That's troubled.
Yeah. So, and
At
I've
what
had,
age was this?
I think this was late when I was like 15, 16. Like this is when I left Shraifat and transferred to a new school, because unfortunately what happened was is that when I transferred schools, people from Shraifat transferred to that same school in the same year.
Hmm.
So my bullying actually shifted to another place.
So
So
it followed you.
exactly. So the things I was running away from chased me at some point.
That's pretty messed up. Do
Yeah,
you feel
like
like you were never allowed to have a fresh start?
I didn't get my fresh start up until I graduated university.
Hmm.
Because even when I went to university, people from that from Shoifat or from Muakib or whatever went to AUD as well. So I feel like I never got my chance to breathe until I got my first job.
Was there no one at Shoifat? I get it, that's the origin, but was there no one at the other schools who, despite all this, let's call it stigma, were still friends with you, ignored all the BS, and looked past it?
Yes, and I think those are the people who are trying to be in a relationship with me. Like there was
Mostly guys.
there was an incentive behind it. It wasn't more or less, oh, I genuinely care about this person. It was more like, I think this girl's hot, so let me go and try to be her friend.
Which is just another round of manipulation and, I guess, emotional bullying or something like that. So you couldn't catch a break, it seems.
No, not really. The only time I could catch a break is probably the times where I spent it in the art club or in the library.
And then this brings us to the other question. And Reem, if this ever brings back memories that's too tough or painful, just let me know. But because there's many kinds of bullying, and you did touch on this early in the video, what did people do to you? You said it was never physical except a few times. And then you talked about how there was a cyber bullying element to it, I guess, way before cyberbullying was a mainstream thing. What else was there? I'm talking verbal, emotional, manipulative.
Hala, there's a few types I can talk about, but there's always this one memory that sticks to my head, two memories that stick to my head, and those are the ones that get to me kind of bubbly on the inside.
In a good way or a terrible way?
No, in a bad way, in a bad way. It's like negative way.
I wouldn't use bubbly for that then.
Um,
Do you mean sick to your stomach?
yeah, that's just
Okay.
a very cute way of saying it. Yeah, I don't want to say sick to my stomach because that statement makes me literally sick to my stomach.
Then Reem, honestly, we don't have to talk about that one. I
No,
want
it's
you to talk
okay.
about what you're comfortable opening up with.
No, this is something I'm comfortable to talk with. I remember I was, back in the days when we first started getting our phones as kids, and we
For
were
me, it
so.
happened a lot later, but I do remember when it started.
So I was sitting in a computer class, and I remember this girl looked at me, and then she's like, I could easily tell the teacher that you have a phone with you. And I'm like, and I looked at her and she was holding a phone as well. So I'm like, I could easily do the same thing as well. And then she's like, yeah, but the only difference is if you say anything about me, you may not have any friends anymore.
That's so twisted.
Yeah. And another memory that serves to mind, I'm not sure if you remember, but we had PE class where we had to change into a different uniform during that class. So we
Yeah,
switched into the polyester pants instead.
the black and white shorts. Well, for the
Yeah.
guys at least.
So obviously I bring an extra bag with me because we had like swimming classes and we would shower in school or whatever. And I remember walking into my class and finding people opening up my bag, and you can see like my intimate clothes all over the place, and they point at it and laugh at it. That was another situation that killed me for a while.
Do you
And
know who
then
did
obviously,
it?
yeah, but I can't really mention names.
No, but like, as long as you know the perpetrator.
I do. And there were situations, for example, where I try to be friends with people and we'd be sitting down there like, let's play truth or dare or whatever. And they tell me like, I dare you to go tell like your crush that you have a huge crush on him in front of everyone.
I remember that.
Yeah, it happened in around the grass area, around the track area.
I remember that actually.
Yeah. So I actually was like, you know what? Okay, because I wanted to be friends and I didn't want to seem like a sore loser. And I went and I told the person that I had a crush on him, but he was in it on the plan already because he knew. So then they pointed fingers and laughed at me.
Dude, this feels like those high school movies.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy how you watch a movie and you feel like, oh, I've been through that.
Yeah, but like it's not something you want to be through.
So
So this was all in Shoifat.
this was all in Shaifat, and some of it actually progressed to the newer school that I went to.
Hmm. What I remember one time, and again, it's a bad memory for me, and I'm assuming it's a terrible experience for you. That there was a party,
Mm,
and you showed up, and
okay.
then it was like you were trying to be friendly, and you were trying to be positive and all that stuff, and the people around, especially the girls, and one guy, I guess, I'm trying to remember who it was, I won't say the name, they didn't let that happen. They didn't let things move on. They didn't let things resolve. They didn't let the night be a positive one. I feel like they saw you and then again, they just went back to zero. And then I don't know if you remember, they they like I think they alienated you right away and then started talking about you behind your back, but loudly. So it wasn't really behind your back.
Yeah, I remember that phase as well. And I think so here's the funny part about how I went to that party. Obviously
If it's
I
the same
knew
party I'm thinking about.
I'm not sure it's the same one, but I remember also going to a party that was Shaifat related. And so because I didn't really have a lot of friends to start with, I didn't know how to dance, how to socialize, how to anything. Like I was practically very introverted to start with. So I was trying to dance or whatever, and everyone would poke fingers because I didn't know how to dance. So that was like also another. So like the second I finally thought I was gonna be comfortable around these people, it just backfired.
Did it backfire because you didn't know how to dance or because of your history and the not knowing how to dance and other stuff just brought it back out?
I think it was like both of them together. Cause like it's fine if you're a confident person that doesn't know how to dance, they just say, oh, but like at least she has a cool personality. But like I guess because no one really got to know me, they were like, oh, this weirdo's a freak.
Yeah, yeah. I remember that. It's I don't know if you agree with me. It's like a fascinating thing how it just never left you back then. And like the stigma would just follow you around. And I say fascinating, but it's also horrible at the same time. Don't get me wrong. How it just followed you around. And despite you trying to keep it in the past, be positive, have a fresh start, even with the people who didn't deserve that from you, they just, and even me, I do include myself in this, it just kept coming back up. Like no one would let it go.
Yeah.
I don't think
Funny.
anyone, Reem, if I may, when I talk to people, it's usually this: I don't know why I did that to her, or I don't know why I treated her like that, or yeah, I feel horrible. I can't believe I did that. Stuff like that. Because I talked to a few of them. Some of them seemed genuine. The others seemed like, they said what people expect to say when they're asked that, or when I bring the subject up. When I bring the subject up, but it's like, do you feel it was because of you, who you are, your essence or character, or were you just an excuse to bring out the worst in people because of their own insecurities and something else going on in their lives?
Um, Again, I will tell you that I walked into school with the intention of being friends with everyone. And I think I think that it's a mix of both statements that you're saying. And obviously I was just an excuse. And at the same time, I felt like you know, when at some point when you're so damaged you can't give, you're just expecting to receive and then give.
Um,
So
Me
so you're kind of
personally,
waiting for someone to like fix up the screws in your machine before you can hear out the screws in others.
yeah. Was that you or was that them?
I think that was me after the phase where I became bullied for such a long time. I became a person that didn't accept opening up to someone or accept letting someone opening up to me.
And
But
honestly, who could blame you?
yeah, but at some point initially I just wanted to be friends with everyone, to want to hear people's problems out. Like I remember this cute story that my mom told me. She's like, at the first day of school in KG1, everyone was crying because that first time at being detached from their parents.
KG1 was
and
vicious.
and every and what I did was actually I went and I hugged everyone because everyone was crying. So I didn't care much about me being detached from my mom. More or less, I cared about everyone else that's crying around me. And I went up and I hugged everyone so they stopped crying.
I remember that. I remember you were early on, you were very friendly.
Where?
And I don't know how you are now. I've
I'm
seen your
joking.
stories, Reem. That's more of like alpha chick mentality. I don't know if they display warmth and openness. I
People
know.
change.
Okay, look, in private, when we talk, when we have our conversation, you're a pretty sweet, nice, caring person. But on those stories, it's a different subject, and you know it's a different subject.
I know it's a different subject.
Yeah. But yeah,
but
I get what you're saying.
but yeah, I guess that's all because of the damage I've had as a child. It's built the shield.
Yeah, it's a defense mechanism, man. And
Yeah.
with you saying all that, I gotta ask, where were the adults? Where was the teachers? Where was the supervisors? Where were your parents? Where were the adults in all of this?
Um So I'll bring you back to the part where I was in that computer class and the girl said if you said anything you wouldn't have friends.
Mhm.
So I really didn't go out and complain much about what was happening with me because I was scared the situation would get worse.
Right.
So when I used to go to my mom is like a very tough-hearted woman. So she's like, if they're if they're doing anything wrong to you, ignore it because they're just waiting for a reaction.
Mm.
So she was in a sense where like she's like, if they do anything to you, just pretend like it didn't happen, and they because all they're feeding on is how you react. So build a strong shield for yourself and don't allow people to don't give the people in front of you the idea that they won.
I I agree and I disagree with that. The tough shield, yeah. The ignoring, no, because in my opinion, the ignoring doesn't work when the problem is not you. When you seem to
Yeah.
be an outlet of aggression, of, I'm not going to say hatred. I don't think anyone ever really hated you. Like when you become a focus point for all these insecurities, aggression, and violence, I don't think ignoring works because, speaking from my own experience, I was also bullied in Choi Fat, mostly because I don't know if you remember me, I was like a tiny, chubby kid. Like my voice, according to others, I don't remember this. My voice was like, "Hey guys, what's up? How's it going?" I can't even do that right
I
now.
actually don't remember you being bullied. Well,
No,
probably because
you had your own stuff going on, but no, like guys would bully me, and girls were viciously bullying me because I was like the little fat kid of every guy group. And the thing is, ignoring it never worked for me because again, I feel like I was an outlet for whatever frustrations they had. Not to the same extent as you, but in my own perspective. And what actually helped me was okay, this sounds horrible, counter violence. Not against the girls. I didn't touch the girls. But the guys who would bully me, and this was the second I hit puberty, I flew up. Like I flew up. I was like I went from like 3 feet tall and chubby to 5'8", 9, I don't know, whatever was tall for back then. And then I started fighting back. I started hitting the guys. I started shoving them whenever they insulted me and stuff like that. And that's when I noticed, for me at least, I don't know if it applies for girls, that's when I noticed for me it stopped. Because it wasn't worth it anymore for these guys to mess with me. So that's why the ignoring part, and we can have a different view on it, for me, the ignoring doesn't work. If the problem is not you, is them.
It definitely doesn't. I mean, I feel like if I didn't ignore it, I would have short-lived my bullying experience.
Well, what do you mean? Like it would have lasted shorter?
Yeah.
I think the unfortunate thing is I agree with you.
Yeah.
I don't
But
know.
again, I feel like teachers didn't know about it. My parents, I barely touched the surface of what happened. There was a lot I was keeping from my parents. And it wasn't because I wanted to, but it was more like I didn't want to add stress onto them.
Really? Tell me more.
Like, I don't know, as a person that was very caring at a very young age, I always felt like your mom and dad work a 9 to 5 job and they're trying their best to make you and your brother happy. So why do you want to add stress onto their lives by telling them about your issues when you can just try to be a mini adult and deal with them on your own?
I agree with you now, like at this age, because I guess this goes to show how empathetic you are. But at that age, I definitely did not think about my parents, like their needs, their difficulties. I was more like focused on myself.
It took me 7 years to tell my mom I wanted to shift to another school.
Yikes. How did she take that conversation?
I sat down with her and I'm like, my grades are getting worse. My performance in school is getting bad because I don't feel like going to school anymore. I don't feel like entering that classroom because I am surrounded by abusers.
Yikes.
So it took a while for me to convince my parents. Obviously, as a kid, they don't really invest much into understanding what you're going through.
Yeah.
But I think it was, remember when I told you there was this time where it turned violent? So
Yeah.
I don't, it was until it turned violent is when they were like, you know what? She's not bluffing. She's not being spoiled. She literally has to change schools.
Reem, regarding the violence, how old were you?
So grade 7. So it's probably, okay, I'm really bad at math.
Welcome to this. I'm also terrible at math. Was there a
I
stapler
think you and I are
involved?
the same age. So if you could help out.
Dude, if you're gonna ask me to help you in math, you're in deep shit.
So
Was there a stapler involved?
there was a stapler involved and there was an
I
ear pull involved.
was there was there blood involved?
Mm-hmm.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember like thinking that was so messed up. What the hell? I didn't see it happen to you. I didn't see who did it. but I remember seeing you and it was heartbreaking, man. You were crying and there was a lot of, was it you, the stapler in the blood? Like I remember seeing you crying and there was blood and I don't know if it was a supervisor or a teacher kind of freaking out. And I thought that was so messed up what happened. Like I felt bad before, but I think that's what really made me feel really bad about what happened to you. Like how messed up it was. And I don't know, I guess that helped me develop empathy later on.
Yeah, it was a pretty,
Reem, what happened? No names and stuff, but what happened?
I think if I remember correctly, obviously memory gets hazy at some point. Me and a girl who I thought was one of my close friends, I saw her bully me publicly. Like I felt it. And I think that was one of the first times I ever tried to stand up for myself. And I'm like, I don't get why you're so nice to me in private when you can't even like translate that publicly. Okay. And then she turns back and she's like, you and I were never friends. So, and then I'm like, I kind of tried to threaten the situation as a defense mechanism. And I'm like, great. It sounds amazing that you say that we're not friends because at least now I don't feel bad if I ever want to share the secrets you told me.
Oof. And then
Okay.
she exploded.
And then that's when she exploded and she went and she grabbed the stapler off the teacher's desk and she tried stapling parts of my arms.
Yikes.
I guess this was her threatening mechanism of saying either you keep your mouth shut or like literally I'll shut you together with a stapler.
I mean, it was an expression of something.
Mm-hmm.
Did she ever get in trouble?
I never said it was her.
Fuck. Shit, man.
I told them that I had some sort of depression.
And I'm assuming that made things worse.
It made things worse because it made my mom send me to a psychologist.
Jesus. Just to get back to the subtopic, I don't know what it is about adults where, when it comes to bullying, a thing they definitely 100% have had experienced in as a child, whether as a bullied person or a bully or a bully. I don't know what makes them shit the bed when it comes to kids.
Shit the bed when.
Whoa, did you hear that?
Did you hear that?
Yeah, sure.
Where was I?
You said something about bully.
Okay. So basically, okay, back to the start. What I don't get about adults is this is something I 100% believe they have an experience in, whether in childhood, whether as a bully or a person being bullied. And I'm pretty sure many of them thought they'd never let it happen again to anyone else. But then when it happens in front of them to kids, whether it's their children or other children, they completely shit the bed. Like, do you feel that's a thing?
I don't think it is.
I don't know, like, because I'll ask you more about that. Because me personally, when I saw bullying happen, and when bullying happened to me, from my perspective as a kid, it felt like the teacher didn't give a damn, or the supervisors didn't give a damn, or my parents played it off.
I think it's more like, you know, when you have that situation where you have an emergency number, I don't think they would try to get much as involved unless it's an emergency. When
Right.
it's the small things that they know that you can deal with on your own, and they try to build some sort of character in you that isn't dependent on someone to solve their problems.
Right.
They try to let you experience that as a person to see whether you can bring yourself out of it alive by yourself. But it's like not until it's an emergency where they'll actually like step in and try to take control of the situation. It's like when you work at a company and if small issues happen, they tell you to deal with it. But when it reaches bigger problems, they tell you to call the manager.
Yeah. Do you think it's because from their point of view, what seems a bit like, I don't want to say disastrous, like pretty serious to a kid doesn't seem serious to them?
Most probably, because
Like
I
what's
feel like
bullying to a
as
kid
an
is like
adult,
teasing to them.
yeah, I feel like as an adult, you kind of been through so many experiences that you assume it's numbing. So it doesn't really affect you much as an adult.
Right.
But when you're a kid, you're so sensitive and you're so fragile that they kind of forget that essence that when you were younger, you were fragile as well.
Yeah. And the world seemed like a scarier place.
Yeah. Especially as an adult, I feel like there are bigger things to be worried about than someone calling you a bitch every day in school.
Yeah. So I guess it's in a way it's something they should be empathetic towards if they experienced it, but ultimately they're not because they don't see it as a serious problem.
They don't. I think especially because my parents, if I'm talking about this personally, um, my dad was never bullied. He was the popular kid. My mom was the the but I don't want to like objectify her, but I think she was like the prettiest girl in her school. So naturally, no one wanted to be mean to her.
I think she should take that as a
And
compliment.
and my brother was just like my dad. He was captain of the basketball team. He was captain of the football team. He was captain of I don't know what team. So my brother, from his lifestyle, had like over 700 friends wanting to talk to him.
Oof.
So I think that also reflected bad on my life because it made me feel like I was a black swan of my family.
Yeah. I see how it could lead to that.
So yeah, I feel like to them, whatever I'm saying is like, what are you talking about? Like you could do so much better than that. And no, get yourself together.
Yeah. I feel like I just think in your case, and I think it makes what happened to you even worse, is that you were led to believe it was your fault.
Definitely.
Because like with me, it was never that. It was like, the fuck is wrong with these people for messing with me? When I go through puberty, I'll show you guys something like that.
I think as an adult, it's impacted me positively. I wouldn't say that as a way to motivate anyone to get bullied or anything. Like, I'm not telling you, hey, go get the experience. It really helps out.
Ah, that could be a business. Hire some bullies.
But I feel like it's built so much in me. It's built awareness. It's built a mindset that's different than others. Like back then, I remember I was bullied over, for instance, in my new school that I didn't know much about pop culture. I didn't know who David Beckham was. I didn't know who Victoria Beckham was. I didn't know any of these people. Okay. So, for instance, I had this girl ask me, what do you think of Victoria Beckham? And I'm like, I've never seen her act in a movie that was good. I bluffed it out. I didn't know who she was.
She did act in movies, and they were never good.
Okay. And then someone asked me, what do you think about her husband, David? And I'd be like, I don't think I like any of his songs. I bluffed it. I didn't know he was a football player. So I think that's what led me to the job I have now, which is social media, because I always wanted to be the person to be up to trends now, to understand what's going around in the world, to understand who these people are.
Yeah.
So so it doesn't backfire again and someone would make fun of me for not knowing something.
So you,
And that's just
yeah, go ahead.
and that's just a small example of how something negative that happened in my life at a younger age affected me when I was older.
Hmm. So you think it made you stronger?
Definitely. I mean, I always feel like, you know, this cliche saying that says whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger.
Hmm. Yeah, I hate it.
So I hate it. I hate it. But it's so true when it comes to me because I feel like now at least I know what my standards are. I know who my real friends are and who are just there for a good time. I know how to stay up to date and try to be on top of topics and be the person who knows everything about everything.
But do you feel like that wasn't a guarantee? Because I feel there are some cases of bullying where it breaks a person. Now, in your case, it might have broken you and then you reformed even stronger. But I've seen cases, read about cases, heard about cases where it just broke a person, the end.
It almost broke me. I won't lie. It almost broke me. There were so many moments where I cried between me and myself, saying, wishing I was never born. There were so many cases where I wanted to do self harm. There were so many cases where I'm like, take my soul and reincarnate me into another lifestyle.
Hmm. When did it
So
stop? When did that turn from I'm the problem to I'm going to overcome this problem?
3 years ago.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah.
What's what initiated that?
Um, when I realized that my toxic behavior was built from my insecurities from when I was younger.
There was no catalyst, there was no book, motivational quote.
I think it was just really bad experiences. Like I've been into several toxic relationships, I'd say, that really made me devalue myself even more. So when you reach that 1%, it's like it's like, you know, when you have a phone that's on 1%, you run to the charger to plug it in.
Yeah.
So I think that's what happened to me. I was on 1% at that stage. 3 years ago, I was like, khalas, you know, I didn't have a job. I I I was convinced I was a horrible person. I didn't give myself space to love myself. So I struggled a lot with self-love until 3 years ago when I decided it's either I take the time to love myself or I waste no time living.
Honestly, that's amazing. Like it's good that out of all that just came this stronger sense of self and even self perspective.
Yeah. So up until then, I was in a very negative state of mind. I did impulses just to be just to be a people pleaser. And up until 3 years ago is when I was like, you know what? It's time to live for me and stop living for others.
Ajat Smalna. That's why I want to ask you this question. Given that you're very proud of yourself, and now, as I can see, that you're a pretty strong person, was those years of bullying worth it? Would you have wished anything differently? And do you feel that that was a fair trade for now?
Um, can answer that question in two ways.
However you want to.
It's like, first of all, are you, yeah, as a person, do you really want to be the soldier to go to war? Like, if that's the case, are you, if it was the case where do I want to change what I've been through? I would have been fine not going to war and living a normal life.
Mm.
Okay. But at the same time, I think it gives so much accomplishment for you to go to war and come back alive.
Yeah. Like, so in a sense, you're a veteran and not a victim.
Exactly.
Hmm.
If it would have destroyed me, I would have said no, obviously not. Like, who wants to go to war and die?
Hell no.
But like, it's more like the fact that I was able to come out of it alive makes me feel like I beat an obstacle that wasn't really given to a lot of people.
Yeah, I agree with that. Also, since you said you got this mentality 3 years ago, I think there's still a lot of life left where the strength you gain from all that can show its advantages and its benefits.
Definitely. At least with the experience that I went through, if I were to ever one day to have kids on my own,
On your
I'd
own.
at least, well, not on
Like
my
with
own.
like with as a single mother.
No, like to have kids of my own.
Okay, okay, now you're saying of my own. You said on my own.
No, I mean like to have my own kids.
I'm just
I
like
would
imagining
understand.
like some weird biological like cell splitting. I don't know what they call it. Osmosis. Okay, no, it's not osmosis. It's
Mitosis.
sure. Let's go with that. Like that's what I pictured when you said on my own.
No, no, no. I'm not gonna like spit cells on my own. But yeah, if I would ever have my own kids, I'd be able to understand them complaining about their lives.
I hope so, man. Like I always tell myself that. But then, like I said, I look in life and it's like adults completely shot the bed. They probably said the same things. I'm not talking about your
Yeah.
case. I'm just saying for myself, I
Mhm.
worry that my future self will be disappointing in this regard, no matter what my current self says.
I guess that's just the taboo of the unknown.
Uncertainty. Yeah. At least I think our heart's in the right place.
I hope so.
So that was pretty intense. So I'm trying to see which next question we go to since you basically answered all of them before I could ask them.
Mhm.
Let me see what we got. Why is this not working? Okay. So we've talked about your experiences. Now I want to discuss bullying. I don't know how to say like as its own subject. Why do kids bully?
I think it comes out of insecurities of their own. That could be a reason. Or I think it could come out of the reason where they envy something that someone else has, and this is their way of taking it out.
Yeah, I agree. I just I don't know what you think about this, but I just don't think kids are evil. I don't think they
I don't
have
think they
I don't think they have bad intent. I think they're very impulsive and they lack empathy.
they definitely do lack empathy because for an example, and listen, as a kid, if you see someone falling on TV, you sit down and laugh at it like, oh my god, look at that fall, it was so funny. But as an
I
adult,
still
if you watch
do.
someone fall,
I mean, I
as an
still
adult,
do. Okay, look. If they fall and I know they survived, I laugh, you know? I'm like, okay, they survived. They broke a few
yeah,
bones.
but
They can't walk anymore, maybe a concussion, but they survived.
yeah, but I mean, like in a sense, like if you were to see someone in pain, you would go after and see if they were fine.
Yeah.
But if there were, if you see someone in pain as a kid, you don't understand that pain.
Yeah. You think it's because they haven't experienced enough pain to the point where they can recognize it in others and realize, hey, this made me feel like shit. It's probably gonna make that person feel like shit, so it's a bad thing.
Maybe, but I also feel like it comes from a part where they live as individuals. They don't see themselves as part of a society where you have to care about each other to be able to push life forward. They live اللي هو مثلا when you see kids مثلا playing with toys, it's always my toy. It's never our toy.
Yeah. So they pretty much just don't think beyond themselves.
Exactly. It's like more like I don't care if this person cries because they don't have the toy anymore, but it's my toy.
So then a follow-up question to that is, kids aren't evil, but at what point or at what age, not do kids become evil, but at what age is bullying an evil act instead of an impulse?
I don't think it's related to age, but it's more about like physical age, but I think it's more related to mental age. Because like you'll meet people that are 35, but they still act like 20-year-olds. You'll meet people that are like 20 years old, but they act like they're 40.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about mental age, but I think at the mental age of like, I don't know, probably 9 or 10, where you're supposed to like khalas, act like a nice person that empathizes with people.
I don't know, because even at 9 and 10, I knew a lot of people, they definitely did not empathize at all. Because for you, it started pretty early on. For me, the bullying was pretty bad from 9 until like 13. And
Again, this
at least from
depends
my point
on,
of view, people definitely did not empathize at that age, to me at least.
I don't think people would have empathized until something happened to them first.
Yeah. It's like a wake up call.
Yeah. Like I don't think anyone would ever start caring about someone until they felt pain themselves first. If they didn't feel it first, they would never understand it. And I think that's what changed me as a person, is because I felt pain from such a young age. So I started being caring from a young age.
Yeah. So do you think it made you a pretty mature person?
I was always told by a lot of people that my mental age surpasses my actual age. So maybe that's the reason why, because I've learned maturity from a young age.
Some people tell me that too, but I think I got it a lot later than you based on our respective experiences.
I don't know.
And,
So I think you're,
sometimes it feels like a gift, I guess, or an advantage. But then in my case, sometimes I just feel glum. Like, glum?
not really. My vocabulary
Gloomy.
isn't that wide. Oh, okay.
That's like a word I probably read in like a Harry Potter book or something. But like, yeah, just I feel like it's nice to be mature. You're more durable, I guess, when it comes to
Yeah.
life. But then you're also more prone to overthinking and not necessarily looking at positives.
I think it definitely restricts you from living your age.
Yeah. And based on that, I'm basically an 80-year-old, I guess.
Hmm. Like I feel like now where I'm 27 years old, I think I'm just starting to live what is so called the 20s, if it makes sense.
Yeah,
So
it makes sense.
yeah, like I feel like now, at least on the inside, I'm like 23 years old all over again and starting my 20s. But in reality, I feel like I'm 27, like khalas, it's like 3 years to 30.
27 or 3 years to 30, like I get it, but like 30 doesn't mean 30 anymore. 30 is like the new 20, 40 is the new 30. And then people are starting adulthood at 40 in some cases. And me, I don't subscribe to that because I want to get shit over with early on. So I'm still young and energetic to deal with other stuff like having
Mhm.
kids and potential divorces, which I do feel will happen at one point. But
George,
like,
I don't think I'm the type of person who's gonna get a divorce.
no, not just, I agree, not just one. That was your point, right?
No, I meant like ever.
Around divorce 3 or 4, it's like, okay, now I gotta start taking these vows seriously. Okay, there's only so much alimony I can give. No, I'm just messing with it. That's a whole different topic for another day. But just to get back to the subject, what do you feel should be done when kids get bullied? What stops it sooner? What mitigates the damage? What makes it not as shitty as what you have been through?
I feel like going back to the phase where people were always telling me, if you do this, you're not gonna have friends anymore, or whatever the threatening incentive was, where people were to tell me, and no, if you do this, this is gonna happen, or if you tell people this is gonna happen. I feel like, no, actually tell people. Tell people what's going on. Go to someone that you feel safe talking to, who's an adult, and tell them A, B, and C did this and this to me. Tell them that this and this is happening to me. Write it down, write it in a journal. So at least someone, you have like a document to give to
Yeah.
someone who's an adult to state whatever happened.
Like, so basically try to get
And
someone to intervene.
exactly, because like you're never, you some battles you can't really win on your own. You need support.
Yeah. I think it's sad
So
that people that young don't feel they have those resources.
but the scary part is that you have your guardian, you have your parents, you have your siblings, you have the principal, you have teachers, you have supervisors, you have all of these people right in front of you every single day with the open mindset to hear you out. The school has a responsibility to protect you in it. They're not just there to feed you information and then send you off home at the end of the day saying, we taught you how to read or we taught you how to write.
Yeah.
The school has a responsibility of keeping all their kids safe in a safe environment where they get to be taught lessons and stories and numbers. So I feel like you should be in a position where you understand that you have the right to complain. You have the right to go up to the principal or go up to the supervisor and tell them, this person pulled my hair, this person called me this person did that to me, this person told me A, B, C, and D. So once you understand your rights in the space that you're in, you will be able to get your rights with everything, regardless if they counteract and these kids try to make it worse for you just because you complained. You have the right to complain again from the repercussions.
It gets worse if you don't do anything.
It definitely does. And even if it does get worse just because you complained, that phase is so much shorter
So
than
it
the
burns
long
out
one that you
sooner.
can live.
So it burns out
Exactly.
sooner. Yeah. What's interesting is that you're saying things that are very similar to what another guest said, Mikey. I don't know if you've seen that episode. He said the same exact thing. Always get an adult involved and don't just let it keep going. Like, don't do nothing. Because I think in the mind of the bully, it's some weird, twisted version of consent in their eyes to keep bullying this person.
I'll tell you something, but I don't mean to backfire this on you.
Oh, I'm ready. Wait. I'm ready.
I feel like if you see an act and you're silent about it, that's bad, whether it's done to you or done to someone else, and you don't speak about it, you are just as bad as the person who did it.
I agree.
So if you see someone shoot another man and you don't complain about it, it's like you're just as bad as the shooter.
Hello, the metaphor is a bit extreme because I wouldn't want to get shot either. But regarding what you said, I agree with all of it, Reem. And that's a big part of why I've been feeling shitty all these years. Like, I know you for your part, because let's be honest, you're kind of a nice person. You try to mitigate how shitty I feel about it. Like, you try to tell me nice stuff like, you don't know, you're a kid. It's nice of you that you apologize. Some didn't, and all that stuff. I will still always feel like shit and accept blame as being a part of it because I didn't do anything, because I didn't step in, because I didn't stop it, because I didn't stand up. I
But
was part of the problem.
I will tell you this though, and I don't mean it because I'm trying to lighten the room or anything, but like this is a true perspective of me. At least at some point you were able to say, I need to talk to this person. I need to check if she's okay. I need to make sure that she's in a right mindset at this point. So for you to try to clear up that part is already 5 steps ahead than you think.
I hope so.
Like, there's a lot of people out there that I will probably never forget what they did to me. I will never in my life ignore the things that they did to me. And even if I were to see them in public, I would never go up and say hi. But to the people like you or the people who I've given myself time to forgive because I see that there isn't any damages left in here anymore. Okay, like yeah, I could still go up to someone and say hi. I could still build a friendship with someone, like how you and I built ours. So I feel like just taking that social responsibility of going back and trying to fix things with someone that you feel like you've wronged takes a lot of initiative.
Yeah. I hope it's something others will do. And hopefully this video provides them a chance to do so.
Hopefully.
Because some people...
I'm not waiting for it, but it'd be nice.
No, I know. It's just, I feel like I don't, for myself and for others, I don't give a damn about what's it called? Oh, there's a freaking word for it. What's that word called? Remorse. Remorse.
Oh.
Like, remorse has nothing to do with it because I feel it's the selfish thing. Remorse only benefits the person who fucked up, and I don't think they're entitled to anything. What I feel is that you are entitled to having these people fess up. You deserve that.
Yeah, but at this stage of my life, like if you told me this like probably 5 years ago, I would have said yes, I definitely need that closure to be able to move on with my life.
Yeah.
But at this point, I don't really need that closure anymore, if it makes any sense. I've already built myself on a self-loving journey that doesn't care about what other people did to me.
Yeah, I respect that. So,
not to say that I wouldn't accept that closure, but it's like I don't need it anymore.
Yeah, because you've already accepted what happened, and now you're just not gonna let it bother you anymore. That's what I got from this conversation, at least. And then this brings us to our next question, because we're going to the conclusion of this video. The light's getting weird. Like, you see that?
Yeah, it's happening here too, by the way.
Like, dude, I like, well, like, what is this? Am I being called into heaven? That's definitely not the case. So weird light effects. Oh, it's going away now. Okay. So weird light effects aside, If the people that apologized to you, sorry, if the people that bullied you apologized, would you forgive them? Or is there any individual you just will not forgive?
I'd probably forgive 60% of them.
How? What sets the 60% apart from the 40% you won't?
The depth of damage.
That's fair. And then moving on to the next thing. And this is basically a summary, like an overview of what we talked about. What were the positive things that you can say you took out from the experience?
The idea of me currently being resilient. I think I've built so much resilience from that experience that I no longer depend on anyone to be the source of happiness for me.
Which
Because
is, go ahead.
Because again, I'll go back and saying I wanted to be friends with everyone, but at this point, I'm pretty much happy. Not saying I don't have friends now, but saying and no, I'm pretty much happy even spending time on my own.
But isn't that a pretty healthy thing?
It is healthy. This is something positive. I feel like at this point, I've become so much stronger. I feel like I'm in a position where I can influence the world positively through my experiences.
It's amazing to hear. And now let's kind of go into the negatives of what negative thing can you say you took out from that experience?
Definitely trust issues. I don't trust people as easy as I used to in the past. I can't just welcome anyone into my circle anymore or into my heart or whatever. And I think at some point, I'm talking previously, maybe it could even be on a small percentage now, where a lot of times, because there's a lot of trust issues built, I'm so prone to self-sabotage.
How so?
Like if someone were to come and have the intentions of being good friends with me, and someone were to come and try to build some sort of romantic relationship with me at this point, I'd always feel a part of me that there's an incentive behind it, that they're coming after me for the wrong reasons.
Because that's
So
what's
even if
happened to you.
that's exactly what's happened to me. So I think in that situation, I'd sabotage the relationship or the friendship myself in fear that they would do it instead.
Yeah. So then doesn't that just become a self-fulfilling prophecy?
I don't know.
Yeah. Hopefully as time goes on that gets better and better. For me, just out of my experiences, I think the bad part for me was just like there's always a sense of rage.
I don't think I have a sense of rage towards anyone, even to the people who bullied me or anything, but it's more like I'm kind of pissed off at myself for not acting differently younger.
Yeah. And I'm guessing no matter how many times people would say that, oh, you were just a kid, you didn't know better, it doesn't do much to help the feeling.
No, it really doesn't. It doesn't really help justify what I could have done, because I saw a lot of other people complain. So why did I ever feel like I didn't have the right to?
Yeah. Yeah, it's weird because like if I were to tell you a 7-year-old didn't do much, didn't say much, and kept getting bullied, you as a person, assuming the 7-year-old is a different person, would say, no way they should blame themselves for that. They were only 7. But then because this was your case, you don't think of yourself as a 7-year-old. You just think of yourself as a continuation of yourself. So you say, I should have done something. I should have acted differently.
I actually disagree on that. From
Awesome.
the situation I've been now, I would actually say, why didn't this person complain? Like, regardless the age, I'd say, why didn't this person feel like they were in a safe environment enough to speak? It's
Yeah.
like I hear these stories sometimes, like crossing around between families where the nannies were to hit the kids, and the kids would stay silent about it to their parents. The nanny lives with you. You are a part of that right to get that person's contract terminated.
But if you're young enough, but I think the issue is if you're so young, you don't know anything else for comparison, and then that's your normal. You can't really
Yeah, that I would definitely
fault a kid with not knowing what is a better thing, which in this case would be the
yeah,
nanny
that
getting fired.
I think something schools should start teaching at a young age is human rights, even if it could be an early stage topic. But I feel like topics like this should be addressed at a young age for students to know.
For me, I believe that
We all
bullying.
go
Oh, go ahead.
we
You
all
want
go
to say?
to in classes and learn ABCD, and we learn 1 + 2 = 3 or whatever. But like, we don't really learn very important human skills. We don't learn how to empathize. We don't learn how to stand up if something is bad. They teach us education, but they don't teach us social education.
Yeah. I think that would help a lot, not in preventing bullying, because I think bullying will just always happen. It starts off as impulses. And my opinion, I think it just develops into just turning someone into a human stress ball for your insecurities. But I think with the education you're talking about, it can make it less severe, make it shorter and less intense to a point where it really damages a person.
I definitely agree.
So for the kids who are being bullied, so this would be early age, teenage, later age. What message do you have for them?
Don't stay quiet about it. If it bothers you, confide in a way to talk about it, whether it's with your parents, through social media, through talking to someone you trust, going to the headmistress of the place that you're getting educated in, whether it's a principal or a supervisor or a teacher. Go talk to someone.
Right. Completely agree.
Make sure that your rights are being fulfilled. Don't just sit there and fuel the abuser.
I completely agree. And speaking of abusers, what message do you have for those who bullied you?
Thank you for the worst and best experiences of my life.
Can you clarify?
It's more like, thank you for hurting me to make me stronger. And thank you for making me aware enough to help others if they are in need.
Yeah. That makes sense, even though I feel they deserve none of the gratitude.
I'm trying to be polite.
You can be a savage. And I know you've been savage. Okay, so
I'm just trying to not use profanity as much as I can.
we're way past that. This is a demonetized video. What are you talking about? Fuck that shit. Okay, so this brings us to the conclusion of our video. I want to thank all of the viewers for watching this episode. And even though it is one of our longer episodes, I feel there's just a lot of genuine content and deeply impactful content in this one. I feel like no moment was empty, nothing was filler, and everything was something worthy of watching. Reem, I would like to thank you for joining us,
Thank
and
you for
to
having me.
the growing community on this channel, which, if I'm doing anything correct, is a growing community. I invite you guys to like, share, subscribe, and comment down below. Reem, comment in the comments. Point in the comments.
There we go.
There you go. And yeah, whether you agree, disagree, or just want to add something else to the discussion, please do so below. Do you have any final remarks, Reem?
Just love yourself. That's all I can really say to anyone. Love yourself.
Because if you can't love yourself, how the hell can you love anyone else?
Too cliche, but true.
That's a quote by RuPaul.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So having said all this, I declare this episode, rant, discussion, podcast, whatever, over. Take care, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you, George.